First for news and information in Coventry, this is iCov Radio.
Good afternoon, Coventry, and welcome back to iCov Radio. I'm Tristan Finocchiaro.
And I'm Jack Cooper.
We have an action-packed show for you today where we cover everything from Remembrance Day to makeup controversy to trending stories for you. But first, let's start off with the news with Jack.
Thank you, Tristan. Liberal Democrat leader Joe Swinson has said that the upcoming general election could be a moment for seismic change. In a speech making the launch of the party's election campaign, she claimed she could do a better job than either Boris Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister. In her speech, she said, "It's not about the red team or the blue team, because on this issue they merge into one. Both Labour and the Conservatives want to negotiate and deliver Brexit." She went on to say that this country needs to be more ambitious right now and that the Liberal Democrats are rising to the challenge. The Liberal Democrats have pitched themselves as the only party intended to stop Brexit entirely and, in their words, build a brighter future for the UK. Swinson argued that stopping Brexit would deliver a £50 billion Remain bonus for public services over the next 5 years. If the Lib Dems don't win a majority at the election, they have pledged to support another referendum, otherwise known as the People's Vote Movement. The UK is set to go to the polls on the 12th of December.
Labour MP and Duty Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle has been elected as the new Commons Speaker. He succeeds John Bercow, who stepped down on the 31st of October after 10 years of service. Sir Lindsay won in the final round of voting and pledged to be a neutral speaker. The comment came after Mr Bercow was accused of bias against the Brexit process by MPs. The Speaker's role is to keep order in the House of Commons debates and call MPs to speak. They must be politically impartial, which means they cannot be associated with their previous political party. Sir Lindsay will be required to resign from the Labour Party as a result. He paid tribute to his daughter, saying, "There is only one person who is not here, my daughter Natalie. I wish she could have been here. She was everything to all of us." Prime Minister Boris Johnson paid tribute to the new Speaker, saying he was sure that Sir Lindsay would stick up for backbenchers and show his signature kindness and reasonableness.
The National Audit Office has claimed that a government plan to create 200,000 new homes in England for first-time buyers has resulted in no homes being built. Starter Homes was a scheme introduced in 2014 and was aimed at people under the age of 40 and sold at a 20% discount. However, legislation to take the project forward was never passed. David Cameron, the Prime Minister at the time, committed to the scheme in the 2015 Conservative Party manifesto as a way of tackling the affordable housing crisis. The homes were meant to be built across the country and support the wider growth and regeneration of local areas. Labour called the policy a total failure, but the government said they have a great track record for house building.
The top court in India has ordered a crackdown on stubble burning around Delhi, which has been a major contributor to the pollution in the local area. Delhi has been suffering from lethal smog in recent days, with the air being rated as very poor. The Supreme Court said that the residents of Delhi were losing precious years of their lives, people are dying, and this just cannot happen in a civilised country. The ruling follows petitions filed by activists, which orders an immediate halt to the practice of farmers burning crop stubble in the states surrounding the capital. Air quality in northern India lowers in winter as the cool air traps smoke, car exhaust fumes, construction dust and factory emissions, which creates a deadly mix that makes breathing difficult and burns eyes. According to the World Health Organization, 14 Indian cities, including the capital, are among the world's top 15 most polluted cities.
Drone users in the UK must now sit an online test and pay a £9 annual fee or face a £1,000 fine after the launch of a mandatory national registration scheme on Tuesday. Owners are obliged to label all drones by the 30th of November, and all operators now have to pass a test about legal and safe usage before they can fly them. All drones weighing more than 250 grams, which includes all but the smallest toys, must be registered and labelled with a unique licence number. The licensing will make it easier to identify their owners. The drones will have to be grounded to do this, but in the future this could be done remotely or while drones are in the air. The register was announced in 2017 by the government in response to growing public concern over their use, which included plane collisions and drug smuggling. The Civil Aviation Authority estimates that about 130,000 people will have to pay to register by the end of the month.
And in more local news, it is Shag Week at Coventry University Students' Union, so we spoke to the Vice President of Welfare, Abby Ojo, about what the university is doing to promote sexual health and education.
So what's going on with the Student Union? You're hosting Shag Week. What's that all about?
I'm the Vice President for Welfare and Community, and all through this week we'll be doing our Sexual Health and Guidance Week. And while we're actually doing this is to actually educate students and let them know about the importance of Sexual Health and Guidance Week, and also the stigma that has been around the Sexual Health and Guidance Week.
What are the events coming up for students?
Okay, so today we have our Sexual Health Quiz at Godiva Place by 7 p.m. where we'll be actually deliberating on issues, and interestingly we have some key things that we've kind of come up with, like questions and some symptoms you can not particularly notice that this is a key issue, but if you come to the event you kind of see it as something that is really important that needs to be actually deliberated on.
And is this open to all students of all sexual orientations?
Sure, yeah, so that's why we have the inclusivity workshop today by 3.
So what?
In other news, with the winter time slowly approaching, the NHS is set to face challenges due to limited resources and a lack of staffing. Our reporter Yasmin Suman has spoken to one nurse about her worries with public safety.
As we approach the coming winter months, many of us will be worried about getting the most Instagrammable Christmas tree and wondering who our secret Santa might be. But one pressing issue that the British population face is the crisis that comes to the NHS every winter, with short staffing, an overhaul of patients and limited supplies draining staff to their bone. A report carried out by the British Medical Association last year showed a 6.9 million increase in patients admitted in the past winter, with 3.9 million being A&E related. Yet these reports show no increase in staff availability or supplies, and in fact it prevailed that over the past year supplies had decreased and the wait time for ambulances increased to 30 minutes. As well as that, among the 6.9 million emergencies, 214,000 trolleys were used in a 4-hour waiting period. I've spoke to one nurse who's chosen to keep their identity anonymous, but has shared experiences working in the NHS for the past 15 years and the decline of public safety. Are the winter times more strenuous than usual, and what makes them that way?
Yeah, most definitely, because of the amount of patients that we have, more so in the winter than in the summer, especially within the inner cities. In the summer we do have some break because of the summer holidays and people go away on holiday, so we do get a let up. And also people who suffer with chronic respiratory conditions get more exacerbations in the winter than in the summer, like chronic lung disease, COPD patients, bronchitis and emphysema patients.
Have NHS cuts had a direct effect on your ability to cope and manage, especially during the winter?
Most definitely. The prime example of that is staffing. We are really struggling for staff at the minute. And I know that isn't just where I'm working, and it's actually a national crisis within the NHS. And I know the Royal College of Nursing at the moment campaigning for safe staffing models within all trusts. I know that England haven't done this yet, but Scotland and Wales have got a safe staffing model that they've passed for how many patients a nurse can look after, whereas we haven't got that in England yet. And I think we do need that, because we're sometimes going to work and we're working at 50% capacity of nursing staff, which then causes a strain on those nurses. And especially at the minute, we've got a lot of newly qualified nurses that have just come into a post who are having to take on patient caseload before they're ready to take. They're now having their supernumerary period, and they're really struggling.
With all that in mind, this winter, make sure you use the NHS 111 line for non-emergency phone calls, and only visit the hospital if you need to.
iCov Radio.
This coming week marks Remembrance Day, a moment of reflection for the lives lost in wars, including both World War I and World War II. Many of you might already have got your poppy or walked past someone selling them on your daily commute this morning. A recent LGBTQ+ version of the usually red poppy has sparked a debate online about inclusivity. We've brought our LGBTQ plus correspondent Yasmin on the show with us to talk about that. Yasmin, could you please explain further for people who might not know?
Hi Tristan. Yes, so recently a picture surfaced online of an eBay listing from an LGBT version of a poppy. It's caused a lot of upset and started a conversation of whether it should be LGBTQ+. Many people think this is just another instance of quote-unquote gay people making everything about them, as in recent years pop culture has swayed more towards the LGBTQ culture as it's become more accepted and more socially acceptable. But the reality of it is, there was a mass amount of queer people and LGBTQ plus people who fought in the war and were prosecuted because of their sexuality.
That's quite a gritty topic. I think, like you said, I don't think people actually realise how sexuality was intertwined with the war. Could you tell us a bit more on that?
Yeah, so homosexuality was criminalised heavily during the war and in Nazi Germany. Historical reports show that queer people were targeted along with anyone who didn't suit Hitler's ideal Aryan race. At the least, their organisations were banned, media and scripture about homosexuality was outlawed, and of course, in its extreme form, homosexuals along with Jews, people of colour and anyone who wasn't of the Aryan race were rounded up and murdered.
Wow, that's shocking. What about people in the workforce themselves?
There was a lot of people of the LGBTQ plus community who fought in the war. The British Library has a collection of stories from gay soldiers who wrote love letters and diary logs of their time in the war, their love stories from the trenches, if you will. One famous LGBTQ representative was Alan Turing, who was a code breaker and broke the Enigma code that Germans communicated by. If it wasn't for his breakthrough, British forces wouldn't have found out info about potential raids and bombings. He unfortunately battled with homophobia ingrained in our British society, offering himself up for chemical castration and eventually killing himself in his home because of a following prosecution for his homosexuality. It was people like him who helped Britain overcome the war, and I personally think they should be remembered.
So what do you think has actually caused this upset? Is it people who are genuinely upset about the design, or is it something deeper than that?
I don't think it's the design. I don't think people would genuinely care about a rainbow on a poppy because it's not just about what the rainbow, it's about what it represents. I think it's misguided information circulating online and a general lack of understanding for what the war was about. The war didn't discriminate. It didn't say who could and couldn't fight. Everyone fought in their own way for the war, including people like Alan Turing. But it's come from a deeply rooted sense of homophobia and uneducated ignorance, so it's no wonder people are outraged because they're upset about the wrong thing.
Well, this seems to be quite an opinionated topic. So you've taken to the streets to see what people think. Let's see what they said.
Does LGBT-themed poppies bother you at all?
No, I think it's a great idea actually, because it just kind of reflects more of the population and their beliefs, I guess.
Yes, because people died for the UK, for the United Kingdom, and poppies are what's grown on the battlefield. And it's not because of some gay LGBT communities dying there. LGBTQ women's poppies should not be a thing, 100%.
It's something that could be looked into. I mean, obviously human rights, all that sort of stuff, so quite an interesting thing to... I feel like they're two different things, of course, but it's just like, obviously being open-minded and looking at it in a different way.
It's really appealed to me, I'm not really too sure. Like, I don't have an opinion about this, a clear opinion about this. I just think of people that they're doing this just to represent themselves and to put a stamp on something and they want to make it beautiful somehow. Just that.
Do you think it's offensive at all for LGBT people?
No, you can put whatever you like on whatever you like.
Yeah.
If you want to put LGBT flag on the whole university, you can do it.
So you think representation for LGBT people is important and it's not an offensive thing?
It's not an offensive thing if you're not pushing people towards it. It's okay. If you're just stating it, it's okay.
Okay, so now Katie has joined us in the studio to talk to us about today's trending stories.
Hi guys, so we're going to start with some controversy over the Oscar nominations. So there's a Nigerian film called Lionheart that's been disqualified from the Best International Feature Film category. People are a bit upset about it.
So why are they upset then?
So the lady who directed it, called Ava DuVernay, said to the Academy, "You disqualified Nigeria's first ever submission for Best International Feature because it's in English, but English is our official language of Nigeria. Are you barring this country from ever competing for an Oscar in its official language?" So that was a tweet from the lady that directed it.
Right.
Basically, their film's been taken off because it violates an Academy rule stating that entries in the category must have a predominantly non-English dialogue track. But obviously, like she said, English is her country's first language, the official language of Nigeria. So people are a bit upset about this. Feel like the rules should be changed. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's a stupid rule, really. It's it's such a sort of dense view, I could say, of the world, really, because obviously so many countries, not just Nigeria, but so many countries have English as their first language. So just to paint them in one colour to say that their film should not have English, as their language it's just short-sighted, I think.
I think obviously that rule was put there for a reason, but I think that reason was to keep it, as international films.
Right.
But in the fact that, like what you've said, that Nigeria, their national language is English.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with what you're saying.
It's like, by their logic, the film could be considered for another category that isn't international because it is in English. So maybe it can be considered for like a home category instead, like best film instead of best international. So some of the public have tweeted out, if the English language is the main reason Lionheart was disqualified from the Oscar, the Nigeria's chances of winning an Oscar is 0. And that was from @CuteWater. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree, because like even if Lionheart was moved into another category, realistically, you're not really going to compete against the giant Hollywood filmmakers, are you?
exactly. So this is their one chance, and the rules are just a bit backwards.
They are, yeah.
But yeah, moving on. You might have heard some fireworks going off recently, as it's bonfire night tonight, and people obviously celebrate a bit early. Do either of you go to fireworks shows or put them off in your garden?
Yeah, I enjoy going to the fireworks shows. It's very rare do I ever let them off in my own garden. In fact, I can't think of the last time I ever did that with my family. I enjoy going to the shows because it's a nice community sort of gathering, and obviously the shows are quite spectacular most of the time.
Yeah, I 100% see what you're saying. I like to do a bit of both myself personally. A bit of letting a few off in the garden for a bit of fun, and then and then go and see some professional ones as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of us do it, but some people are getting a bit upset about the amount of explosions going off, like around bonfire night. Especially those done by the public. So obviously they're less regulated, there's a danger to the public, and it's quite polluting as well.
Yeah.
There was a story about a puppy having a heart attack from stress from it, which was really upsetting, and I think that's one of the factors behind it. People were getting worried about their pets. So people just want the sales to be a bit more regulated. There's a petition going around that's reached 250,000 signatures to stop the sale of fireworks to the general public.
Yeah, I agree with that, because with that petition, they're not banning fireworks altogether. They're just banning fireworks being used irresponsibly in people's back gardens, because it's loud, it's frightening, and it's also scary for people, not just pets and that, but also people who might be in the autism spectrum, who have sensitive hearing. So yeah, it can affect a huge amount of people. So
past soldiers as well.
Yeah,
they get PTSD.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I fully support it.
They can be obviously quite dangerous themselves. So obviously giving them to the public is always a bit of a question mark, because the public need to be aware of the dangers behind the fireworks. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. We should keep it with the professionals, really.
Well, some people are even going as far as to say we should ban them altogether. Like the topics we have now about being greener, being more climate friendly, and these are obviously really polluting, and we set them off at a mass rate. Do you guys think we should completely ban them?
No, I mean, even if we wanted to, I don't think there'd be too many people who do enjoy fireworks. And yeah, fireworks they're enjoyable, and I think I do agree with the pollution aspect, but it's only once or twice a year where fireworks are set off in a mass way. So I think as long as they're sort of controlled and they're sensitive to where the location they're being set off is, I think it can be fine.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So Facebook has released a new company logo. Have you guys seen it?
I have, actually, yes.
I haven't yet. Mine hasn't updated as of yet, no.
So basically, it won't update because it's not going to come up on your app. Okay. It's just for their actual company. They're trying to distance themselves from the app.
Right.
But basically, the logo itself is large capital letters Facebook. It's quite in your face. And it's actually a GIF. It's not like a still.
Oh,
it's
is
a
it?
GIF, yeah.
Oh,
and it or a GIF, how we go. And basically it goes through all the colours of their like most popular platforms. So it goes from the blue of Facebook to the green of WhatsApp to like the pinkly purple hue of Instagram.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to make a distinction between Facebook the company and Facebook the app. But I think it's more the backlash of Mark Zuckerberg, and they're trying to like change people's opinions. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's when you think of Facebook now, it's hard not to think of all the controversies that they've been involved in. The Cambridge Analytica one is the one that comes to my mind straight away, and obviously all the fake news and all that. So it makes sense that they kind of want to distance themselves and sort of present it as a bit of a fresh start, but it's quite transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. I think someone with the studio team actually said that it's sort of their way of flexing that they own all these different apps as well at the same time.
I like that. Obviously, companies that have rebranded for various reasons haven't always had the best way of doing it. Like we all remember the Snapchat logo of the ghost, and they put that thick outline. And I know people that quit the app because of this like outline.
Hard life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it can also be said that people don't like change. I remember when the Instagram logo changed to what they have now, and it was horrible.
Just quickly then, last story for you. Emma Watson went on an interview with British Vogue, and she announced herself, instead of single, as self-partnered.
Right.
There's been mixed reactions. Some people are coming out saying, oh, I'm really happy for her. Being single is not a negative thing. This is a nice way of saying it. We've had our favourite Piers Morgan come on, saying it's her fancy way of not getting a bloke. What do you guys think?
Well,
quite harsh.
Quite clearly, she can get a bloke if she wanted to get a bloke. No, I'm happy with it. I support it because some people like to be in relationships, some people feel comfortable in relationships, and some people are more happy in their own company. And you should have the freedom of choice, and you shouldn't feel bad about going one way or the other.
Absolutely, I think I agree with you on that one. I mean, it's all just the stigma they put around the worlds themselves, really, isn't it? I don't think the actual word that they use to describe being single actually makes a difference.
No.
But yeah, I suppose it's just a nice way to paint it, really.
Well, yeah, it's self-empowerment, really. So thank you for that, Katie.
No problem, guys.
Now in entertainment news, YouTube star Shane Dawson and billion-dollar makeup mogul Jeffree Star celebrated the launch of their collaborative project, the Conspiracy Theory Palette. The $400 collection, combined of an 18-shade palette, a mini controversy palette, mirrors, backpacks, travel bags and a lipstick range quickly sold out within 10 minutes of their launch of their own website and of their 18 retailers. In fact, their main home base, JeffreeStarCosmetics.com, crashed for 2 hours, along with the retailer's BeautyBay.com for 2 hours, with both companies stating that this was the highest traffic that they've ever received in their retail history. We spoke to a local makeup artist and previous Jeffree Star fan, Ryan Osborne, to see what he thinks.
So did you buy the Shane x Jeffree palette?
I didn't. I find it very kind of, how do I put this without being harsh? No, screw it, I'll be harsh. I found the fact that they were continuing to like profit and everything off, especially with their problematic past. It was kind of like I didn't want to buy it out of principle. I also found some of the collection a bit tedious as well.
Speaking of tedious, I know the collection's been very controversial for a numerous amount of reasons. A lot of people are upset with the collection, saying that the colour story doesn't make sense, that they seem like it's a cash grab. Are you happy with the collection? What's your thoughts on the actual collection itself, the 18-shade palette, the mini palette, and the accessories that come with it?
So for me, speaking from obviously the color point of we'll start with the mini palette. The mini palette was the one that I enjoyed the colors because I felt like you'd be able to actually create looks with that.
So with their controversial backgrounds, Jeffree Star being infamous for his negative comments towards black people in his past, and Shane Dawson, for his blackface videos on his YouTube channel 10 years ago. Both of them share a history of racial prejudice and discrimination towards black people, usually in mockery or intimidation. Does this put you off as a consumer, and do you think that they should be held accountable for their past?
Well, I think as a consumer, I definitely would say that they need to be held accountable for that.
The thing is, they've made an apology, but do you think that them then marketing a palette called Controversy marketing off the fact that they're controversial, that they do controversial things? Do you think it's them saying, well, we don't care?
It's kind of a 50-50. I think it's obviously there's one thing of being kind of that little inside joke there. And then there's also that kind of thing, you've also been a part of a controversy that's surrounded by very racist tendencies. And I think it's that, it'd be one thing if they if they had actually gone through kind of actions beforehand to actually show people that they have changed, because we only see somewhat of the behind the scenes of what goes on.
So will you be buying Jeffree Star cosmetics in the future?
Again, it's kind of that difficulty of I appreciate the product for the product more than whose name is on it, especially with the quality that that's the one thing you kind of can't fault Jeffree on, is that he does
10 seconds.
the quality of the product first. I would have to say at
Just for hands.
I probably wouldn't buy the current bundle or the palettes.
Lots of sports action over the last week, and for that we'll hand you over to our sportsman Joe Pepper.
iCov Radio.
There's been a wide range of emotions across the nation this weekend in sports. The weekend started with disappointment with England's defeat in the Rugby World Cup final. South Africa held a nice lead through the first half before dominating the second half to extend their lead to 32-12 over England for the final whistle. However, the second half of the weekend saw glory for the nation, with Lewis Hamilton claiming his 6th Formula One World Drivers' Championship with his podium finish at the United States Grand Prix. He only needed to finish 8th in order to get the 4 points he required to clinch the championship. Hamilton is now only 1 Drivers' Championship away from matching Michael Schumacher's record of 7 World Championships. On the topic of 6 World Motorsports Championships, Marc Marquez has also taken his 6th MotoGP World Championship with his second place finish behind Maverick Vinales at the Malaysian Grand Prix. In Premiership Rugby, there's been big news as the Saracens have been handed a £5 million fine and deducted 35 championship points as a penalty for breaching the salary cap regulations, as found after a 7-month-long investigation into the matter. This leaves the London Rugby side on minus 26 points early in the Premiership season. 9 weeks into the season, the NFL only has 1 remaining undefeated team, and it may not be the team that you would have expected before the start of Week 1. The San Francisco 49ers are the only team without a defeat after the Baltimore Ravens handed the New England Patriots their first loss on Sunday night. The last time that the 49ers achieved an 8-0 start to the season was in 1990. On a more local scale, Coventry's had an action-packed week in sports too. Coventry Football Club tied 0-0 with Stanley in their most recent League One match. But I'm sure Coventry Football Club will probably be focused on their first round of the FA Cup coming up this weekend against Colchester. A fairly successful initial 4 games in the Championship Rugby for Coventry Rugby Club as they sit in 3rd place on the table after tying 28-all on the road against Ealing Trailfinders. They will return home to Butts Park Arena this weekend to continue the Championship Rugby campaign against Doncaster this Saturday afternoon. Wasps Rugby also claimed victory over Bath with a final score of 30-22 and will travel to Sale this Friday to continue their Premiership Rugby campaign. That's all for sports, so I'm going to hand you back over to Tristan for the weather.
Thanks for that, Joe. Feeling distinctly autumnal today with frequent blustery showers. It will feel chilly too, with a keen northerly breeze keeping temperatures relatively low. 11 degrees Celsius is your best effort this afternoon before things get drier and colder tonight with a low of 4 degrees Celsius. Now on to Jack with the traffic.
Thanks, Tristan. If you're driving around the city today, do try to avoid the A45 Stonebridge Highway. An earlier accident on the Toll Bar End junction has caused traffic to slow right down, adding 10 to 15 minutes onto your journey time. The M6 is also currently closed eastbound from Junction 2 to Junction 1, which is currently causing severe congestion for the traffic having to be diverted. Otherwise, traffic does remain relatively normal besides the expected congestion on the A45 and the A4114. And that is the traffic update for now. Do keep in touch to submit your traffic updates.
Thanks for that, Jack. And with that, that is all from iCov or Radio this week. Be sure to get in touch with our social media about what you think with today's stories. You can reach us at @mediascore_iCov on Twitter or at iCov_media on Instagram. We'd love to hear what you think.
Oh yes, definitely. We'd love to hear what you think of today's stories. Thank you very much for listening this week. We hope to have you again with us next Tuesday at the normal time of 3 p.m. Have a very good evening and enjoy the rest of your week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
First for news and information in Coventry, this is iCov Radio.